Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a real pleasure to have you all here, whether you're zooming in from here in the US or abroad. Really excited to have you. My name is Amber Walsh. I use she, her pronouns. I am going to facilitate this session, and this session is what we're calling Inside the Community, to get to know what it feels like to be an SOM community member. And this session is specifically focused on our LGBTQ plus community and activities around that, what it feels like to be on campus, and participating in activities here. And so I'm joined by three current students who are going to tell us a little bit more about themselves in a minute. In terms of the format, we're going to go through a few introductions as well as some questions that you all submitted when you signed up for this session. So I will pose those questions. We'll do that for about the first 30 minutes. That will be part of this recorded session. And then we'll transition to a more intimate environment. We'll turn off the recording and have an opportunity for you to chat with each individual student in individual breakout rooms. So you can ask more direct questions and get to know our students a little bit better. So to kick us off, I'm going to ask Ahita to kick us off with a little bit of an introduction, just a little bit about your background, maybe what you were doing before your MBA, what it's like to be on campus. I know I think you have your partner with you, so maybe talk about that a little bit. Just anything that you want to tell us in terms of your introduction.
Absolutely. Thank you, Amber. Thank you so much for the introduction, and welcome everyone. So glad that you could join us today from wherever you're dialing in from. My name is Ahita Paul. I'm a second year MBA at the Yale School of Management. I grew up in Calcutta in India, but then I've bounced around Bangalore, Delhi, and then most recently Singapore before I moved to the US to Connecticut. What was I doing before school? Let me see. So I had a bit of a longish career before coming here. I was working for about 9 years. I was a data scientist and then a product manager. I used to work in financial services. I was at a bank and worked across like credit cards and auto loans mostly. Um, I did my summer internship this year at BCG in Washington, D.C. Like I kind of came to business school wanting to pivot to management consulting, among other things. This was one of the things that worked out. At SOM, I'm one of the leads for Out of Office, which is actually all three of us are leads for Out of Office, which is our LGBTQ club at Yale SOM. I'm also involved with admissions, and I'm also an inclusive growth fellow for the next year. So if any of you want to talk about that, happy to talk about that as well. So Amber mentioned my partner. My partner is still in Singapore. So we're doing like massive long distance. So for any of you who want to talk about that and how it is navigating life in business school with a partner far away, I'm happy to touch upon that as well.
Thanks, Ahita. Veronica, I see you took off here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can go next. Yeah, my name is Veronica. I'm from New York City. Thank you all for dialing in, by the way. So prior to SOM, I actually was a strategy consultant at KPMG. I'm a sponsored student, so I'll be going back there post MBA. My internship, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do, just because I get the option to be a little flexible with that. I moved here with my partner and our two dogs. And I'm currently involved, as Ahita mentioned, with Out of Office as a first year lead. I'm also in the Wilderness Leadership Development Club. So the club that sort of handles like hiking, camping, kayaking, all that fun stuff. And I'm also in hockey.
Thanks so much, Veronica. Philip, do you want to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Phil. Originally from New York. and I am a second-year MBA here at the Yale School of Management. I'm also still active duty naval officer, and I'll be returning to the fleet, to the Navy once I finish up the degree here. But I'm kind of on a sabbatical to get the degree. This summer I was in DC working in tech, specifically at Palantir for a Navy project. And a few of the things I'm involved here at School of Management, as it was mentioned, so I'm a budget officer for Out of Office, which is our LGBTQ affinity club. I'm also the chair for our philanthropy conference, which will be held this February, the largest student-run conference at Yale. And then I'm also part of the admissions teams with the interviews. And I those are like those are the big things. I'm also on the formal committee, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think it's great. You all are very active community members, and I think highlighting too how many opportunities there are on campus. SOM, I think, has 80 clubs, 80 formal clubs, but then just innumerable activities that happen alongside, whether it's formals or outings and things like that. Just to kick us off with another question from our audience, what aspects of Yale SOM community make LGBTQ plus students feel welcome and valued? Are there specific moments or experiences that highlight this sense of belonging? And anyone can feel free to kick us off.
I guess I'll start with that. So first off, I think Out of Office for us specifically, but for many within the queer community, has been kind of a central point for us. We're the queer affinity group at SOM, but then we also coordinate with the other grad school queer affinity groups like Outlaw or Outpatient, the other for the med school, the law school, or whatnot. And so that's like the central club, I would say, where we're able to organize different events, both small and large. So small group dinners, getting to know each other, large outings. We've got like our large Friendsgiving coming up. This weekend, we're going down to the city to go see Hell's Kitchen, the musical, the Alicia Keys musical. So just like creating and fostering different events around different interests through the LGBTQ thread. And then also I think SOM as a whole, I mean, it's a curated student body of extremely diverse backgrounds, experiences. And I think that just lends itself to an extremely welcoming, open environment.
I think to kind of also add on to what Phil said, I think SOM has also been very intentional about celebrating queer identities. I think like every major, we have Pride Month that we celebrate in April somehow, like because like we go on holiday in June. We have, let me see, so we did National Coming Out Day in October, so we did like a panel during that time just to for just a space for people to share their coming out stories. I think we're also going to be doing Transgender Day of Visibility. So all this to say that every milestone that has so far, or almost every milestone that has so far happened for queer people in the recent past, like SOM is very intentional about acknowledging and celebrating those milestones as well. And I think if you want to get out of SOM and connect with the community in campus, Phil mentioned connections with some of the other grad schools, but there's in addition to that, we also have a Yale-wide LGBTQ center. I was actually doing a part-time job there last year, but that's a place where pretty much everyone can come together. So it's like all your grad schools, the undergrads, postdocs, faculties, like everyone can kind of come together there. The center sometimes hosts some events like say a small happy hour or like a crafts night, like which are just like fun ways to meet people outside of the SOM bubble sometimes.
Yeah, and just adding on to that, I feel like personally, one really big moment for me, and it also sort of feeds into why I decided to choose SOM, was during like my welcome weekend. We had a small group dinner that Phil sort of alluded to, right? And I actually got placed with one of the leads for Out of Office, and it was just I think it was maybe 6 or 7 prospective students, and we had dinner at this student's house, and it was just like this incredible feeling of like belonging and really sort of like listening to each other, talking, understanding like their perspectives at SOM as well, and what they're doing, what they're interested in. It was just like genuinely like this genuine connection that I really felt with everyone I talked to there, and that sort of I feel like really left a good impression on me.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I love that there are so many activities and different ways that people can be involved. And as I understand, and if you would like to elaborate a little bit too, because different people are at different phases of their identity or how comfortable they are with sharing that. And I know that membership, for example, in Out of Office is really up to the person to and how much they want to be involved or disclose that. Just making sure that everyone feels really comfortable. I know as an admissions officer, I often get concerns about that from especially people coming from other countries where it's really not okay culturally and something that they have not been feeling comfortable about sharing with others. Uh, would any of you be able to kind of address that and how kind of accommodate people at different stages of their coming out?
I can start. So honestly, this is the first time that I've been in an environment where I've actually just like I've never had second thoughts about being out. Like previously, back in Singapore or in India, like I did always hesitate for whatever reason. And I mean, I never felt that hesitation, but B, Amber, to your question about like how we accommodate different people, um, I mean, I was comfortable completely coming out when I came on campus, but we also have friends who are slowly going through that transition and either A, are figuring themselves out, or B, um, just do not want to be known in the whole Yale community, or they just want to come out within the queer community, like just within Out of Office. So the club itself has been very intentional about making sure that we respect people's privacy in whichever stage of the coming out journey they might be at. So while for me it's just been like I don't want to hold myself back anymore, but there are people who do, and the club's been very mindful about taking that into account and making sure that we know where everyone is at in their journey.
Yeah, I would say as the leadership of Out of Office, we do spend a good amount of time discussing that when we are planning different events, and even on like the app that we use, Campus Groups, to track events and attendance and stuff, like keeping those lists hidden because we are cognizant of the different levels of outness that people are within their journey, while still balancing, like Ahita, I think, alluded to it a little bit, of not like there's a lot of power and visibility and representation as well. So striking that right balance of like, hey, we exist within these spaces across the whole business world, while creating spaces for people who are early in their coming out journey or unsure or just want somebody to speak to. And that has something we've been trying to do of as I said earlier, having different events for different interests, right? Like the LGBTQ spectrum is such a wide range of interests. So how do you like curate different events? And at the same time, how do you have events for different levels of outness? So like our ally lunch can also kind of be like someone can go there to feel like they could talk to us and whatnot without having to out themselves or to moonlight as an ally if they wanted to. And then on the flip side, we have other people like, the three of us here who are super, super out and open and think that visibility is extremely important. So yeah, that is something we discuss a lot from an out of office leadership perspective. We discuss it with admissions, with our Office of Community Engagement. We are very aware of that and want to be a support for people along every stage.
Yeah, I love that. And it's really about meeting people where they are and providing them the support at the level that they want. They have the support and engagement at that level. And, kind of looking on the next, kind of layer in terms of the larger SOM community, and you alluded to some of the activities, but maybe you could talk to how SOM encourages collaboration and allyship between LGBTQ plus students and allies from other backgrounds. Are there programs or experiences that stand out as examples of fostering cross-community support? And maybe also, while you're on that, talking about it, I think also the broader New Haven community too, because we're part of Yale, we're part of this very nice university experience, but we're also part of a really lovely small city of New Haven and have engagement at that level as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely talk a little about a bit about like the wider Yale part. I feel like we've been really good. One of the events we're planning out actually is the crossover like tailgate that we're doing with the Yale Law School as well for the Harvard Yale game coming up. So like I feel like we take a lot of these different threads across like the different grad schools, right, with like outpatient, outlaw, and we sort of put together these events where we can like do mixers with the law students or with the MD students here as well. There's also like the wider queer center here at Yale where we sort of collaborate and volunteer with a lot of the different events.
Excellent. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that Yale Harvard game, which is a big event on campus, brings together the whole community. Philip or Ahita, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think like Veronica covered most of it.
Okay, fantastic. So another question that came up is, thinking about, I mean, obviously you all are there to gain leadership development and experience. Some of you spoke about your internship experience, but how do you, how is your experience at Yale SOM prepared you to show up in the workplace? Are there specific skills or experiences that you feel have equipped you for this role?
Yeah, I can probably get started. I guess like this kind of goes beyond our queer identity and just like SOM as a whole, if I'm understanding the question properly. Um, I think like especially for me as someone who'd been very specialized for a fairly long time, and someone who'd worked in a very technical field, I think the idea of coming to business school was to kind of break out of that specialization that I'd built for myself and gain a more wider, more generalist skill set. I think my first year at SOM, like it was, I mean, not gonna lie, it was one of the most hectic years and one of the most anxiety-inducing years of my life. Like just the whole recruiting season this time last year. I mean, you would not have recognized me this time last year. I was a mess. I was doing consulting recruiting and dying inside. But like I think Mm, I think SOM the and I guess you guys have heard this about like many times if you've been to our events or if you've spoken to other people. I think SOM does place a lot of emphasis on the community. And I think that even though we're a small business school, it's not difficult to find someone or a group of people that you resonate with who are kind of going through the same things as you. Like, so for me, I did like, and I was also a part of consulting club last year, which was basically a whole bunch of people recruiting for consulting. So I had this group of peers that I could prepare for interviews with, practice behaviorals with, do case interviews before we went into our internships. Then when we went into the internship at BCG, there was in the BCG in the BCG Slack workspace, there was a Slack channel for just like SOM graduates, like which I found very helpful during the summer, just like having people to reach out to and talk to. Um, I think, yeah, so just in the first year, just like having a bunch of people who are doing like kind of like chasing after the same thing as you, and then at the same time also having a very supportive second year who guided us. So most of the recruiting that we do, while I mean there is a career development office like which manages employer relationships and also offers us career coaching, but you will see that a lot of the career like recruiting initiatives and career development initiatives are very student led. Your second years do everything from prepare you for coffee chats, interviews, point you in the direction of people that might be good for you to talk to depending on what you're interested in. We also have student career advisors here at SOM, which are basically some second year students who are just another additional resource for you to talk to as you figure out like what you're going to be doing with your professional life once you during the MBA and like once you graduate. So yeah, the answer in short is probably just like that whole cliched answer that you will find people here that are going to be doing the same thing as you, and like hopefully you just won't be alone while you're figuring it out.
And I think that's one of the things that the SOM does well is kind of layering in the support from the larger community, whether it's the professional clubs or the CDO or the alumni network, and even helping to cover your work when you're recruiting your learning team, supporting you and your cohort. So I think that that's something that SOM does really well is kind of layering in the support to make sure that you succeed. We really do believe that we succeed together. So you find it a very collaborative and supportive environment, regardless of which industry you're going into or what your interests are, just finding people that are very willing and available to help you along the way. Philip, I see you might want to say something.
Yeah, I think similar to Ahita, so there's a lot I think within like the queer identity side of that, as well as just like the general broad SOM, and of course those play into each other. So I had mentioned I have a military background for the last 10 years, and I think SOM has allowed me to explore or come in with the question of like, yeah, how do you show up? As your true, authentic self in the workplace, not necessarily your full self. We had one of the consultants from Brisbane come and he also led their queer affinity group, and he was like, you don't need your full self at work. Like we don't need all of that. But how do you show up as your authentic self? Maintain that like level of professionalism, as well as like, we're getting MBAs to go out to be leaders within the business world. So how can you explore different levels of what do I want to say? Not different like ways to lead groups within the business world while still maintaining a level of connection with your teams and everybody, and being personable without being too friendly, right? Like there's definitely that like strike of balance and key. And I think when you put a queer identity on top of that, that even adds an extra layer of complexity to it, and like how out do I want to be in work, even within these last 10 years in the military. Like each command I've gone to have been different levels of outness and who I'm out to, both in and out of the workplace or whatnot. And so those are questions that I came in to this school, to SOM with, and it definitely has given me an incredible opportunity to see those different styles, to talk to people who've come work in the business world. I have a math degree, so like I've never had a real job. I say like it's been I've never been in the real world, never worked at corporate America. So getting that experience and seeing what I've taken from my experience and then learning from others has been really incredible. And then SOM gives the students a lot of to be able to be part of opportunities like this and be part of the admissions teams or admissions fellow, to go lead giant conferences where we have hundreds of guests from across the country. And doing that, one of the things I'm extremely excited for is the global social entrepreneurship class that I'm in, going to India as essentially pro bono consultants, working with students from the School of the Environment, and then getting to see how those students think and lead and problem solve through different issues. So all of that plays into it, both with and without queer identity, and SOM has been an incredible place to do that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I agree that SOM gives the space where you really can be your authentic self. You have so many opportunities for leadership. The administration really tries to give students the space, whether you want to invite speakers or want to create a conference or want to create your own club based on your own interests, really giving you space and resources and mentorship to do that. I think is something that's really exciting about the program in general. Before we move on to the next part of the session where we'll move into some breakout rooms and everyone can connect with each of you directly. I would like, our participants today and those that will be watching the video in the future are generally prospective students. They're exploring different schools. They're looking to see, where are they going to fit in? Where are they going to feel most comfortable? What places will have the right resources for them? And so I don't know if each of you could just give kind of some words of wisdom for people that are starting off on this journey and thinking about applying and how to put their best foot forward and how to narrow their list of schools they're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like so I was in your shoes about a year ago, in the middle of doing all the applications to MBA programs I was interested in, looking at all the different schools, and there's just so many, and it feels a little overwhelming. I mean, I feel like you guys are, already in the right direction, just reaching out to these schools, going to these different panels, getting a sense of like what the communities are like. I feel like the biggest thing that made it for me, across the different schools I was considering, was just how much did I like the people that I got to talk to from each of those schools. I feel like, you're spending a good amount of money going to the school, and you're also going to spend the next 2 years basically, in the same classes, in the same like clubs and organizations, at the same events with these people. You want to really make sure that you like the culture and you like the people that you've been talking to. And I feel like that's sort of what definitely set Yale apart for me.
I think everything Veronica said and plus, I guess like I think it's important to also just like, think about what's important to you. I guess for example, if you're an international, think about how much like financial risk you're willing to take. Like think about if you're, like how much you want to uproot your life and move to a different part of the world. Um, if you're if you're a domestic candidate or even if you're international, think about which part of the US you want to end up in after you graduate. Like there are, I mean, although you can get jobs anywhere after you graduate, schools gravitate towards specific areas. Like most of our alumni end up going to New York and Boston, and then like other places. Like those are kind of like the SOM hubs, like where you'll find most of the alumni. Think about the community, as Veronica said, but just like think just above all, just think about what's important to you right now. What aspect of your journey do you want to prioritize, and then just decide. I'm sure you guys are gonna make the right decision anyway. So
Yeah, I was stationed in or living in Japan for the few years before and doing I was doing the admissions process from across the globe. So I was unable to like really do the campus visits and all that. If you're able to come to New Haven, we'd love to have you. But I think I was kind of going off of vibes. To me, that sounds terrible. But it really was like from talking to different students at different schools, I had already felt kind of like at home with Yale before I had even gotten an interview. Like they had reached out about like specific questions about my resume and speaking to current students and alum. It felt like such a special community. I'm happy to say that hypothesis was like I'm so happy to be here and happy to do this and kind of pay that forward. So that all that to say is sometimes, yeah, like listen to your gut. Like that probably not the answer you want while you're going through this emotional roller coaster that is MBA admissions. It's probably as like in adulthood, it was probably one of the most like roller coaster experiences that I had. Yeah, so sometimes I think you gotta, yeah, I have to say prioritize, like analyze your risk, etc. I knew I wanted to come back to the Northeast, so this was like the perfect solution for me. But yeah, you're gonna have to list out what are your priorities, and see what fits best for that.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Phil. And we're so glad that you're here too. I think I'm freezing up a bit, so I hope you all can still hear me well. And I think you mentioned a few things like, yes, there's the vibes, and how can you check the vibes? How can you check the resources? So obviously, you all that are watching this are on the right path. You can also reach out to student ambassadors. You can sort by club. So if you're interested in folks that are in the out of office club, you can sort by that club. You can sort by industry and reach out and get to know the community a bit more. If you're able to visit campus, I know that's not possible for everybody, but that's a great way to get to know us better and really be part of it, have lunch with some students, get to know the program and feel what it's like to be in the space. So again, all of you that are watching the recording, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. For those of you that are here live, we're going to make a small transition in a second, but I just want to thank everyone for being here, for being interested in our program, for being interested in learning more about our LGBTQ plus community and the different programs that are aligned with that. And we will stop the recording now. And my colleague Modesta is going to help us transition into